Okay, so let's talk about a pattern, a kind of blueprint for greatness in basketball that has absolutely nothing to do with how high you can jump or how fast you can run. No, this is about the players who mentally just take the game apart, who make their opponents completely uncomfortable and rewrite the rules right in front of everyone.
You see, it's this powerful cycle that repeats itself. We saw it happen with Larry Bird, we saw it happen with Michael Jordan, and right now it is happening all over again. But frankly, most people are just too distracted by all the noise to even notice.
And that, right there, is the absolute heart of this whole thing. This isn't about physical gifts. It's about psychological warfare. It's about the players who have already won the game before the ball is even tipped.
So let's start with the OG, the original architect of this mental game, Larry Bird, the man they called Larry Legend. He was really the first guy in the modern era to truly weaponize his mind.
And this was the constant knock on him, right? He can't jump, he's too slow. On paper, physically, he shouldn't have been able to dominate a league filled with the best athletes on the planet. And for a while, that's what people latched onto. They only saw what he couldn't do, not what he was already doing.
But you know who knew better? His opponents. Just listen to Patrick Ewing, one of the most dominant centers ever. He saw it firsthand. He had to tell his own friends who were doubting Bird, no, you don't get it. He's doing it to everybody. He's doing it to the best defensive players in the league. The players knew that the scouting report on Bird was basically useless.
And this is how he did it. I mean, look at this. This wasn't just trash talk. This was psychological sabotage. He would walk right up to his defender, tell them the entire play, step by step, and then he'd go and do it perfectly. The message was crystal clear. You are totally powerless to stop what's coming. And well, the results kind of speak for themselves, don't they? 3 straight MVPs. And think about who was in the league then. We're talking about an era with Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, a young Michael Jordan, and Bird was voted the best player in the world 3 years in a row. His mental game had a very real, very undeniable impact.
So now, let's talk about the apex predator. Because if Larry Bird wrote the blueprint for mental warfare, Michael Jordan came along and perfected it. He turned it into a straight-up art form of intimidation.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is a directed mission from Jordan himself. He watched Bird, he studied him, and he learned how to create that mental edge before he even took a single shot. This lineage, this passing of the torch, it was intentional.
And this slide breaks down the evolution perfectly. See, Bird made you question if you could guard him. But Jordan made you fear even trying. He took that little seed of doubt that Bird planted and he grew it into pure, unfiltered fear.
And nothing, I mean nothing, captures that better than this story from Chris Webber. Before a huge playoff game, Jordan is just sitting on his Ferrari outside the arena, smoking a cigar as the other team's bus pulls up. The message wasn't just confidence, it was a declaration of victory before the game even started. I mean, come on, that is next-level mental warfare.
Which, of course, brings us to today. The pattern is repeating itself, but the weapon has changed. Caitlin Clark is the next evolution in this line of generational disruptors.
And that's a fair question, right? Her method isn't trash talk or pre-game posturing. Her weapon is something even more fundamental. She breaks the opponent's entire system before they can even run a single play. And that weapon is her range. We're calling it an architectural weapon. It's a skill that is so powerful, it literally shatters the entire foundation of how defense is supposed to be played. It forces teams to guard 35 feet of the court instead of the usual 25. The whole game plan gets thrown out the window.
Because think about it, when defenses have to creep up and guard her at the half-court line, it creates a massive 4-on-3 advantage for all of her teammates behind her. Her shooting doesn't just complement her passing, it's the engine that creates those opportunities. It's a pick-your-poison situation. You either let her shoot from the logo, or you give up an easy layup.
This chart basically visualizes the math problem she creates for every single opponent. That defensive boundary, that invisible line that coaches build their entire defensive schemes around, it's gone, shattered. She forces defenses to play in spaces they are fundamentally not designed to cover.
But, of course, whenever a player disrupts the status quo this profoundly, there's always a reaction. You get this wave of resistance, of doubt, of noise. It's all part of the pattern.
You know, this isn't anything new. It's not unique to Clark. Every single player who has ever rewritten the rules has had to deal with all these external narratives trying to diminish what they're doing on the court. It's like the immune system of the status quo kicking in to fight off the change.
And the echoes, they are uncanny. With Bird, he faced these awful, racially charged dismissals of his skill. For Jordan, the early narrative was that he was just a selfish scorer who couldn't win. And now with Clark, so much of the conversation gets steered toward manufactured rivalries and drama instead of her systemic dismantling of defenses. It's the exact same pattern of distraction.
And just like the legends before her, Clark's response is to just focus on what matters. She cuts right through all that noise and keeps her eyes on the court. Honestly, it's probably the only way to stay sane when you're in the middle of changing the entire game.
So let's bring this all together. It's so easy to get lost in the day-to-day debates and the hot takes, but if you just zoom out for a second, you'll realize that you have the privilege of watching history unfold in real time.
What you're seeing here is a really clear progression. Bird used his mind, Jordan weaponized fear, and now Clark is weaponizing the geometry of the court itself. Each one built on the last, taking the very concept of dominance to a place nobody had ever seen before.
And this might be the most chilling thought of all. This player, who is already breaking professional defensive schemes just by showing up, is just getting started. She is still adapting to the pro game. Her floor right now is what most other players consider their absolute ceiling.
Look, most people miss Bird's early years. A lot of people slept on Jordan's first couple of seasons. Don't make that same mistake now. Greatness is happening right in front of you. The only question is, are you paying close enough attention to see it for what it truly is?